Is there life outside of our planet? It's a question that's been asked countless times. Space agencies like NASA have done a great job at discovering new planets, and some of these have a similar layout to Earth, meaning that there's a possibility that it could hold complex life. It's these discoveries that have caused us to explore certain regions more. Interestingly though, we don't have to travel far to find possible life, as scientists and researchers have said that other complex life forms could actually be within our very own solar system. One place that's of particular interest is that of Jupiter's moon Europa. Due to this moon being of high interest, space agencies have said they want to send rovers to this moon, and this is for the sole purpose of finding out if there's life in its vast oceans. Known as the Europa Lander mission, NASA scientists theorize that the most likely candidate for life to be found in our solar system is expected to be within the icy surface of Europa, due to the expectation of the moon holding vast amounts of water beneath the frozen surface. Data surrounding Europa states that the moon holds a vast salty ocean of water, similar to our oceans on Earth. This giant ocean is said to span the moon's entire globe. Additionally, due to the frozen surface, scientists expect the conditions of the water to be favourable, as the ice surface acts as a natural atmosphere barrier against radiation, similar to our electromagnetic field, giving life desirable conditions to flourish without its deep oceans. NASA plans on sending a Europa rover to the moon in an attempt to penetrate its surface, and collect samples more than 4 inches deep, to better understand the complex chemistry of materials from the ocean below. Efforts are already being made by NASA engineers to design a rover similar to the Martian rovers, and these will carry miniature laboratories within the lander to analyze samples, but with the addition of an onboard chemical analysis lab, and this would be able to hold microscopic cameras for the analyzation of bacterial microbial life. Although the project is still in its conceptual stages, it holds high promise in the search for extraterrestrial life, and seems to be of growing priority in the coming years. Interestingly, this isn't just fantasy either. A British scientist has come forward and said that it's almost a certainty that Jupiter's moon Europa is home to alien life, but they noted that these creatures could look similar to the octopus that we have on planet Earth. The researcher behind the comments is that of Monica Grady, who's currently at the Liverpool Hope University. As mentioned, this vast ocean that can be found underneath Europa is a prime candidate for otherworldly life. It's not just Europa that they suspect life could be teeming. They went on to express how they think that deep caverns and caves on Mars could also be hiding complex life. Monica Grady said the following about the possibility of there being life on Europa. When it comes to the prospects of life beyond Earth, it's almost a racing certainty that there's life beneath the ice on Europa. Elsewhere, if there's going to be life on Mars, it's going to be underneath the surface of the planet. There you're protected from solar radiation, and that means that there's a possibility of ice remaining in the pores of the rocks, which could act as a source of water. If there's something on Mars, it's likely to be very small, something like bacteria, but I think we've got a better chance of having slightly higher forms of life on Europa, perhaps similar to the intelligence of an octopus. Many have praised the scientists for making these kinds of comments. After all, when it comes to scientists and otherworldly life, we don't usually get an open response such as this one. They usually shy away and say there's a very low chance of there being life on other planets. So many noted that it's a nice change to hear a scientist be open to the idea of there being life on moons such as Europa. The octopus is one of the most recognizable creatures, but it's a creature that's shrouded in mystery. Over the years, many different researchers have expressed their interest in these creatures, and have said that their makeup is fascinating. Recently, scientists have discovered that octopus, squid and any other cephalopod evolved completely different from nearly every other organism on the planet. Scientists have always known these creatures were a bit different, but a recent study has shown that some species are able to edit their RNA sequences on demand to adapt to their environment. This has baffled some researchers. When an organism changes, it starts with a genetic mutation. This can be due to change in the DNA of said animal. These changes are then put into place by RNA. Going back to the study, it was discovered that a squid had edited over 60% of RNA in its nervous system. This meant this creature was able to adapt wherever it was at any given time. It's like us being able to adapt to living in the desert and then the Antarctic in a matter of seconds. This study also showed researchers that octopus and cuttlefish can do the same thing. This isn't the only interesting discovery to come from our oceans. Another creature of interest and one that could change our understanding is that of the scarlet jellyfish. The scarlet jellyfish is an incredible species that's able to restart their life. When these creatures have sustained damage, they will start to make their way to the bottom of the ocean. Once here, they'll start the process of turning back into a juvenile form of a jellyfish. After this, they'll spend around 3 months growing back into an adult. After this, they'll carry on their life until they get injured again. Incredibly, researchers have witnessed one jellyfish performing this cycle 12 times. Due to the immortal jellyfish's capability of biological immortality, pharmaceutical research has taken an interest in this creature. It could potentially mean that sometime in the future we'll be able to harness this ability. It's due to these otherworldly abilities that some have put forward the idea that octopus and jellyfish didn't originate from this planet, and that they were somehow transported here. One idea is that their eggs could have travelled vast distances and arrived on our planet from an asteroid. Although this may sound far-fetched, the shield shrimp eggs are able to last for many years. They lay eggs, and if the conditions aren't right, they'll stay unhatched for up to 7 years. When there's a right amount of water, the thousands of eggs will come to life. As of right now, the Europa Lander is still in its early stages, with NASA working hard in order to get this mission sent to the icy moon. The idea is that if everything goes to plan, the mission should be launched around 2025. NASA said the following on their website: "The moon is thought to contain a global ocean of salty water beneath its frozen crust, and if life exists in that ocean, signs of its existence, called biosignatures, could potentially find their way to the surface, where a spacecraft could sample and study them." Unidentified flying objects has been a topic of mystery and confusion. Various groups have given their opinions on these mysterious objects, with some believing that they originate from space, while others are of the idea that they're man-made, and belong to top-secret governments from around the world. Due to recent announcements, this has only caused more confusion, and people can't make up their mind which side they're on. Photographs emerged not too long ago of a mysterious-looking craft. It was presented at the 5th China Helicopter Exposition, and people immediately made the connection with this and a UFO. The next question on people's mind was, are Chinese officials working on real flying saucers? The expo was run by the Aviation Industry Corporation of China and the Chinese People's Liberation Army Ground Force. This allows them to show off all the new tech they're working on. The UFO design caught people's attention because it's a topic that's still shrouded in mystery. But one of the more frustrating things about this is many people couldn't understand the sign. Online users soon translated the message though, and it reads as follows: "The Super Great White Shark Armed Body Helicopter is a composite wing-body fusion high-speed helicopter configuration, designed for the future digital information battlefield. In the initial stage of its design, it refers to the international excellent and mature helicopter design technologies, such as the AH-64 Apache, the CH-53 Sea Stallion and Russian Ka-52, and Mi-26. While absorbing their respective advantages, it adopts the internationally popular wing-body fusion blended wing-body design, and the former. a new type of high-speed helicopter with conceptual designs of propeller blades has been successfully applied in helicopter design. This is a rough translation, but most of the details are in there. What this means though is that it's still in its early stages, and it's fair to say it's unlikely this craft is behind many of the UFOs that are witnessed. There's some that have spoke out about this object and said the following: "There's no way this object is behind most of the UFO sightings reported here in the US. For one, we don't even know if this thing flies. It also looks like a giant inflatable drone, and I'm sure this isn't about to cover vast distances in a matter of seconds. Don't get me wrong, I think it looks cool and I really like the design. But for people to suggest this one prototype machine explains away all recent UFO sightings is just delusional." With another saying the following: "It does sometimes make me wonder where they get the idea for these crafts. Are they designed from the unidentified flying objects that have been witnessed for hundreds of years?" Another thing I find interesting is that militaries all over the world have tried to replicate these designs, and the majority of them fail. Even the US has tried to build these UFO-looking machines, and although they work to a degree, they serve no purpose other than being a novelty design. It's one of the reasons why it gets scrapped. It serves no real purpose. The Air Force Museum posted the following statement on their website: "Tests with scale models at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base indicated that the cushion of air underneath the Avro car would be unstable just a few feet off the ground. The aircraft would be incapable of reaching supersonic speeds, but the testing went ahead to determine if a suitable aircraft could be developed for the Army. The first prototype, the Avro car on display, serial number 587055, was sent to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration Research Center at Moffett Field, California. Their wind tunnel tests proved that the aircraft had insufficient control for high-speed flight and was aerodynamically unstable. The second Avro car prototype underwent flight tests that validated the wind tunnel's tests. If it flew more than 3 feet above the ground, the Avro car displayed uncontrollable pitch and roll motions, which the Avro engines called hubcapping. The Avro car could only reach a maximum speed of 35 miles per hour, and all attempts to end the hubcapping failed. The project was cancelled in December 1961. This is an interesting statement coming from the Air Force and NASA. Essentially, what they're saying is we can build these types of crafts, but they don't work. They are more for show and don't do anything that would be beneficial. Some have even taken this as them admitting that some of the UFOs we see in the sky are not from them. After all, we can't even replicate the shape of them. So if these crafts can only reach a max speed of 35 miles per hour, what are people encountering all around the world? The Disc Shaped Ufo is famous. It's one of the most cited unidentified flying objects around, and has been reported by citizens for many decades. It's these types of statements though that's caused some to look outside the box when trying to explain these crafts. There's nothing wrong with admitting that we can't build them, but it does make you question them what they are. Every year thousands of people witness UFOs from the ground. Amateur researchers have said that although it's exciting when someone witnesses or captures a UFO, the majority of them can be explained. They usually turn out to be things such as planes, weather balloons, natural phenomena, flares, or military activities. A small percentage of them, however, do remain unexplained. One interesting place where these unidentified flying objects are captured is from plane windows. These are normally much harder to explain as the photograph or video is usually clearer from this viewpoint. This has led to people recording their plane ride in the hopes of capturing something unexplained. Interestingly, it's not just passengers that have come forward with their encounters. Pilots have also detailed seeing things they can't initially explain. It was reported that 3 separate pilots were left asking questions when they encountered mysterious lights in the sky. The incident occurred on Friday the 9th of November 2018. This was when a British Airways pilot contacted Shannon Air Traffic Control. The first thing the pilot wanted to know was if there was any military planes or exercises in the area. The reason being because she could see objects that were moving around really fast, and it didn't look like normal activity that's seen in the area. Air Traffic Control said there was no exercises taking place, and that whatever was there shouldn't be. It was then reported that 2 other pilots contacted ground control saying they could see multiple objects travelling at really high speeds. Air Traffic Control once again reported that there was no military exercises, and that there is nothing showing on either primary or secondary radar. The pilot said the following: "Okay, but it was moving so fast. We saw a bright light and then it just disappeared at a very high speed." The pilot said they was not on a collision route with the object, but just wondered what it was. Air Traffic Control then reported that the 3rd pilot said they were happy they weren't the only ones who saw the objects. It was reported that the UFO was moving at incredible speeds, around Mach 2. This is 2,500 km per hour, and is twice the speed of sound. So if pilots are saying they can't identify these UFOs, and military officials are saying we're unable to make these types of crafts, then what are people seeing? Looking through old photographs can trigger a variety of emotions. For most people, they can bring back happy memories, or remind them of loved ones or friends. However, it's not uncommon for people to find strange things in the background of photographs. The majority of these turn out to be funny, but for some they leave the individual with more questions than answers. This is exactly what happened with this girl. There's not much information about this photograph, but it's reported by several websites that she uploaded the photos to social media. After a few days though, people started to speculate about what was in the upper right corner. After zooming in, it appears there is a creepy apparition. Some have described it as looking like a doll, while others went down the route of it being a child. Although this may seem vague, over the years many people have come forward with creepy photographs showing apparitions in the background, and the individual in the photograph is usually left creeped out as to how it got there in the first place. One person who saw the photograph said the following: "This photograph instantly gave me chills, because I have one similar to it that was taken when I was a child. As with most parents, my mum used to always take photographs of me and my sister. On one occasion we'd gone out to visit my grandma who lives out in the countryside. She used to live in this old converted barn, and it was one of those places that you wouldn't be surprised if you found out it was haunted. While visiting grandma's, we'd always have our photographs taken. It wasn't until years later though, when me and my sister were looking back at the photographs, that we noticed something creepy. In the background was what looks like the ghost of a small girl. The eerie thing about the photograph was that you could clearly see the outline of a girl. When asking my grandma about it years later, she would go on to say that every so often she would hear giggling at the bottom of the stairs, but when she went to investigate she would never see anything. Me and my sister speculate that because the barn was old, the little girl may have lived there many years ago, and perhaps she never left. It's photographs like this that have led to the idea that perhaps these entities are able to make themselves known well after they've passed. Not only have they been picked up in photographs, but believers in the paranormal have said that apparitions are able to interact with humans. Whether this is by getting someone's attention, moving objects around a house, or in rare cases causing harm. Paranormal researchers have gone on to study this phenomena, and have given it different names. However, most researchers can agree there's different levels of hauntings that one can experience. One of the most common ones that's reported from around the world is that of a residual haunting. This is described as an event that gets played over and over again. For example, if someone hears the same whispers or screams, or seeing an entity walk up and down the same flight of stairs, this can be described as a residual haunting. Going on to say that the entity is living the event over and over, and this can be witnessed in the living world. Additionally, this has caused some to suggest that something dark took place in the region, and now that event has left an imprint that gets played over and over. Other examples of a residual haunting include that of something making banging noises, or turning on the same light over and over. Although this may sound creepy, residual hauntings is actually one of the better hauntings to experience. According to paranormal researchers, these entities will let you know when they're there, but they'll usually stay out of your way. There's a dark entity that's allegedly been plaguing the human race since recorded history, and this entity goes by many names. For many years, a number of people all around the world have reported waking up at night and seeing a mysterious shadow figure. This shadowy figure has over time become famous, leading on to it being given a variety of different names, some of which include the Shadow Man, the Hatman, and the Shadow Person. The phenomenon has gained widespread popularity, and a number of different documentaries have been made on the subject, trying to get to the bottom of what people are experiencing. However, it seems the more the subject is looked into, the more questions are put forward. A dedicated blog known as the Hatman Project has been launched where people share their experiences with the Hatman. The history of the Hatman phenomenon goes way back in time, with different written records of the Hatman being found. In fact, some evidence of the Hatman-like entity have been found in scriptures of previous civilizations as well, showcasing that whatever this thing is, it's been plaguing humanity for a long time. The Canadian Inuit people refer to this entity as Ukapay-Nernig. This mysterious entity is known to paralyze humans with fear, and it seems to suck the breath right out of them. While scientific studies have found a phenomenon known as sleep paralysis, they fail to explain the appearance of the shadowy figure. According to one theory, humans are most vulnerable when they're asleep, and when they're suffering from sleep paralysis, their brain plays a little trick where they believe that someone is ready to harm them. However, there's no scientific evidence to support this theory. Some people believe that the Hatman is actually their own spirit that appears as a shadowy figure. They claim that when we're asleep, our spirit leaves our body, and sometimes when we suddenly wake up in the middle of the night, our spirit has not yet returned to the body, and what we actually see as the Hatman is our own spirit that's about to return to the body. As soon as the spirit returns to the body, the sleep paralysis is over, and the Hatman figure also disappears. However, some people believe that the Hatman is actually a mysterious paranormal entity that has haunted human beings for years, and continues to do so in the present day. They believe that the Hatman tries its best to paralyze a person and even take their life. However, when it fails to do so, the person lives to tell the tale. Those who have become victims of this paranormal entity have no way of telling their story, as they've already passed away from the experience. One recent paranormal entity that's been reported all around the world is that of the Black Stick Men. People have described seeing very thin humanoids that are similar to shadow people. These entities are said to be able to move through walls and can even vanish in the blink of an eye. They appear to be two-dimensional, and their appearance always looks the same no matter what angle they're seen at. Their heights vary. Some have said these entities are 5 foot tall, while others have reported them as being over 7 feet tall. They are usually encountered around places that have a dark history, for example asylums or abandoned hospitals. Witnesses often claim that while encountering these beings they feel a strange urge of aggression. Some have put forward the idea that these beings give off a form of negative energy. They're unlike ghosts in that they're not linked with any particular paranormal incident or location. They simply appear, and in recent times they've been appearing more and more often. Although they sound similar to the shadow people, they're thought to be different. Shadow people have often been reported as being more human-like, whereas the stick men are more alien-like, in that they're thin and have elongated heads. What's interesting is that no eyewitnesses has heard these entities making any noise. It's said they observe you, then they simply vanish. Those who have looked into these alleged beings have said it could be a case of pareidolia, as the majority of these encounters happen during the night, so people's minds could be playing tricks on them. Although the majority of the photographs circling the web have been deemed as hoaxes, people continue to report these mysterious creatures. As of right now, paranormal researchers stand by the fact that these entities are real, but what they can't agree on is why people experience different things. Some say that all shadow people do is observe them from a distance, while others have told stories about being pinned down by them, and that after this event is played out they experience nightmares for the next few weeks. As of today, it seems that we're no closer to understanding this mystery. So what do you make of this photograph? And do you think it shows something mysterious? Also, have you had any experiences with the paranormal? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.